We're in Sherwood Forest in Peoria, Illinois, and this is actually a model home build we're working on. So this is going to be the project we take our future prospects and some of our suppliers and people we want to show our quality of work. We're going to have this space for them to come whenever they want and to see the actual quality of our work. So we're at the rough end stage right now, and as you can see, we're bare framing right now. We demoed the whole main space of this house, and the first thing I want to show you guys that we did here was there was a wall going from right here, separating the living room and the kitchen, and it was essentially wrapping around here, and it created this very tiny kitchen space nestled right over here. I had this very awkward dining room space right here that didn't really see much use because it was very cramped and it was just an awkward space. We have the circulation from the garage coming through here, and it just wasn't very conducive to a dining space. So what we did first is we removed this dividing wall here, and that was actually a load-bearing wall. So these joists were overlapping the top of the wall. So what we had to do here was we had to put these doubled up 18-inch LVL beams in here to essentially carry the load from this point of the house to the garage wall over there. Now we were able to attach all the joists to that, and we've got this nice big open concept that really makes the space feel much bigger. I mean, it's a smaller ranch house, so we really needed something to give it a little bit of, grandiosity within reason. So another thing I wanted to show you about our framing is you'll notice here we've got all these shims on the walls. And in this project, it serves two purposes. The first being, and some of you might have seen some of our other videos when we do tile, we sometimes use these types of shims in tile installs because it makes everything perfectly plumb and flat. It can also make it square. You can make your walls perpendicular, completely square with your other walls here. So essentially, not only do they make the walls and ceiling perfectly flat and plumb, but we can also fur out a little bit. So I want to show you real quick our drywall detail. Another really cool thing about this project, we're going super modern. We're trying to stay really minimalist. We don't want a bunch of bulky trim or door casing. So we're actually going to eliminate all the baseboards in this house. Another controversial decision, I think, maybe, but it's going to look really cool. So instead of having door casing and baseboard trim, we're going to instead opt for drywall and shadow reveal. So this is a Trimtex shadow reveal, fairly cheap, except for the shipping. Costs a good amount to get. It's more to pay the shipping than the actual product itself, which is interesting. But it's a really cool product because what we can do is we can essentially install our drywall a little bit higher than what the floor is going to be, and we'll actually put ledgers around the entire base of the floor at the same level, exactly at the height we need it to be. And we can install our floor with our little expansion gap, and then we can essentially install our shadow reveal right over that. And it's going to give us a little half-inch shadow line around the entire perimeter of the house. So that's one of the purposes of these shims, is it's pushing the drywall out about 3/8 of an inch so that we can have room to give our 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch expansion gap with our flooring while still covering it when we step back a 1/2 inch with this shadow reveal. So it's going to be a really cool detail, and it's going to be the same idea with the doors too. The drywall will essentially go flush with the door jamb, and then we'll put the shadow reveal on to make just a nice clean shadow detail around the door itself. So really cool modern detail there, and we'll keep you updated on that once we get into the drywall work. The next thing I want to just point out real quick is that you notice that on our walls where our cabinets are going to go, we make sure to, and this is a pretty standard thing to do in construction obviously, but we always make sure to put our blocking so that no matter where we're going with our cabinets, we always have somewhere to screw them to. You notice we've got some writing right here on the blocking. We've got writing on this pipe here, writing on this vent. We've got center lines to some of the pipes coming through the floor, center lines to this B vent here that we put in for our furnace. What I like to do is I like to write down some of these locations on the walls and on the floors. And then before we put up our drywall, we'll go around with our camera and we'll essentially do a slow walkthrough around these walls so that anytime down the road, we can refer to that video if we need to know where these things are. Say if I want to install a floating shelf here down the road, all I have to do is look at that video and I know that I can't screw anything in at this point right here. We can also determine that our studs are where they need to be. So little things like that really, the documentation like that really helps down the road because sometimes you just forget where things are. So having that stuff just, it's leads to a higher quality product, and then future owners of the house, if we decide to sell it someday, will have that documentation and they can know what's going on with the bones of the structure. Another thing I want to show you with the framing in here is we got a cool little situation going on in this bathroom. Essentially, we framed up a double wall here, and it's a ledge where we're going to have our double vanity attached to here, but this ledge is going to continue around and turn into this nice big horizontal shower niche, which I thought that was a super cool detail there. It's just going to add that seamless, sophisticated look to it. So another really cool detail about this house that we're going to have is the ceiling. Now, we furred out the ceiling with 1.5" furring strips, which has allowed us to leave a space for a channel all the way around this wall and the wall that the tub is going to end up sitting. And what that's going to do is allow us to put an LED light channel in there. And that will cascade light along the surface of these walls outside of our shower and our tub. And it's going to feel almost like it's letting a little bit of daylight in. It's going to just add that little bit of ambient lighting, and it's essentially going to make the room feel bigger as well, because it's going to look like it opens a little bit to the outside. So really cool detail there. We'll keep you updated on that. If we go back out to the main space, the other thing I want to talk about that's going to be a super cool detail that we're really excited about in terms of the design is this recessed ceiling. So you can see on my left and my right up here, we've got a straight line of blocking. And essentially that's where the recess is going to start. And you can see these joists in the center don't have any shims like the rest of it, because those are actually going to end up getting wrapped with real wood faux beams, if that makes sense. We're going to miter wrap white oak and we're going to turn it into a faux beam, and we're going to essentially stick it right over those joists. And it's going to give this very nice higher end look to this ceiling. It's also going to make this space feel bigger. Of course, ranch houses standard is about 8-foot ceiling. So it's going to add that little bit of extra, going to take it almost to 9 foot in that recess. And it's just going to really make this room feel a lot bigger. So really cool detail up there. Beyond the framing, I just wanted to go into these windows a little bit, because I'm sure most people, when they're watching this video, that was one of the first things that stood out, was this big, beautiful horizontal window. And it's actually going to be a backsplash. So that's another little controversial aspect of this job that you don't see very often. This glass is actually sitting behind what will be the stovetop. So there will be a long concrete countertop going along this way with large cabinets sitting on the top on either side of this window, and then a big, massive built-in range hood up above. And essentially, this is going to be the final material for the backsplash. So, and some people might find that like, why would you want to have glass on a backsplash? But if you really think about it, it's actually much more maintenance friendly than even tile would be. If you think about tile, the grout is going to be less easy to clean than this nice clean glass backsplash. So it's a really beautiful detail. We're so excited to what it's going to be, because obviously we've got neighbors back here behind the house. So what we're going to do is we're going to, think about our landscape back there, and we're going to grow some more shrubs against the fence, and we're going to potentially either have a trellis or just large plants growing in front of this. So when you look out this window, you're just going to see a canopy of greenery, which is going to be amazing. I'm really excited for that. The next window I want to show you too, which is really cool, is this vertical window here in the edge of the kitchen. Essentially, we've got full height cabinets going up over here, and we've got this beautiful vertical window that's actually going to sit behind what's going to be a bench spanning from this cabinet, this bay of cabinets over here, all the way over to this full height cabinet. And so it will be a bench that, you know, kids or animals could eventually sit on, and basically just have this nice, beautiful outside view and light coming in, washing over them. Underneath the bench over here is going to be a little nook for in our cabinets for our smart vacuum, which I'll get into some of the smart aspects a little later on, because we're going to do a lot of smart features in this house. So really cool area right here, going to be one of the showpieces of the project. And then the last window over here that I wanted to show you is in the bathroom. So we've got this similar horizontal window as the kitchen here, and it's basically providing a similar function. It's going to wash natural light into the space. There's actually going to be a standalone tub right here. So whoever's using this tub is going to get this beautiful spa-like feeling from just having this amazing view. There's a beautiful tree that is in full view as your head is down this way. So really going to provide a bunch of natural light and make this smaller bathroom feel bigger, on top of what the LED recess is going to do as well. Now, these are just standard black vinyl windows, but we made sure that they were tempered so that if anything does happen, especially with the window in the kitchen, if maybe a kid's playing on that little bench and something happens and the window breaks, it will essentially shatter into a bunch of small pieces that won't turn into shards and cut somebody. So made sure to get the tempered glass on those. Really nice windows. We're going to have a lot more really cool stuff going in here in the coming days. We've got custom doors we're going to be putting in. We're going to be putting up all the drywall. It's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on here soon, so stay tuned.